Hello, this is James Brandt's podcast. Today's topic is going to be on the difference maker. What makes you so different as an individual? What do you bring to the table? Have you ever really singled yourself out and understand why you're different than anyone else? Do you have the self-awareness to know you? Did you invest the time of understanding that your self-confidence is key? Not overconfidence, but just self-confidence. I remember seeing a video by Howard. It said, what makes you so special? And it came into my mind to do this podcast because of that video that he made about someone who thought they were a special player, but didn't have the self-awareness to realize why they were a special player. They just wanted to be known as special. And we're not just talking about players, we're talking about people all throughout life. Do you know yourself again? A lot of people come off as being so sure, but are very uninformed and really have no clue. So, to become that difference maker, which we're keying in on, you have to understand who you are first before you can be a difference maker. Maybe in the world there's too much selfishness to understand that you can be a difference maker. But first, when you become that difference maker, where are you investing your time to become a difference maker? I'm not saying become the savior, but if you're trying to be the difference maker, where have you put yourself? Where have you been? Where have you been? Are you self-aware about the circumstances that are evolving? Did you ever walk into a situation where you had to become a difference maker or even make change in your life? One good example on being a difference maker is this. An adult walks out of his house, notices the junior high just left out, and a big fight erupts. But you're the only adult in the vicinity. A, you can get in your car, bypass it, or B, you can be that difference maker and make your presence known. And you can, of course, speak out to them about what's about to happen. Or, discreetly you can make a phone call to the police and say, hey, there's a fight outside the junior high school. I don't want to see this violence, etc. To me, making the wise decision is becoming a difference maker in that situation. That's just one example. Another example with being a difference maker is changing your ways with negative communication, negative activity. You have to use self-awareness and walk away when you're feeling some type of way. You can't give in to negativity. Negativity is plaguing the world, of course, negativity. Look at the media. That's why I really don't watch TV. I think the media, the news, all that goofiness is something that I don't want to be part of. I've determined through self-awareness that if I listen to that negativity, even hip-hop music that is negative, you can't listen to it, or it's gonna take over that self-awareness, and you're gonna become that negativity, and you're gonna lose yourself because your thought process will change because you're just like, oh, I'm gonna ignore it and just listen to it because maybe that's what I'm accustomed to. If you're trying to be a difference maker, automatically it should kick in. That's negative. I'm not listening to that. But in today's society, negativity is what wins the crowd. A badass. A good guy finishes last. Someone who has self-awareness and decides to do positive in his community will get pushed to the side. People who are going through a hard time tend to focus on the negative because they're in a negative position. They're not seeing that sunlight that enables them to break through the dark clouds and reach for something higher than what they're opposed to doing because they're in a dark situation. And I'm challenging people who are listening to this podcast, be a catalyst to positive energy. Call somebody who you haven't reached out to, who probably need you, who can use your internal drive and reconnect with the positive side instead of that negative black hole which they're probably stuck in because of multiple reasons. Be that difference maker. Use your self-awareness to be the difference maker. open up people's eyes. Don't throw it down. Don't throw it down their, throw it down their freaking face. Don't criticize them. Um, but be that positive spark. If you can be that positive spark for somebody's day, do it. Sometimes we don't even know our talents and abilities. But again, if you're listening to this, don't force it, but try to be a difference maker. Especially in our kids' lives, we have to be difference makers. We have to be the bigger people that let them know that if they're going through something, hey, we already been there, and we're going to guide them back to that light where they're not down on themselves. I always use my children as an example, or somebody else. You can just use it as an example because that's proper, and we can all relate, because most of us do have kids who are probably listening to this podcast. I'll send it to people who I know. But I'm not going to harp on the topic anymore. Remember, it's all about being a difference maker today. Make some change in your life, your spouse's life, your kid's life, your neighbor's life, whoever you can motivate, do it. People get frantic when they hear the word motivation. I don't need motivation, they say. But, that's that self-doubt kicking in, saying, I can't do it. People always want to give up. Not in this home, man. Not on this show. We don't give up. Again, I will be the catalyst for my self-drive, because I know through self-awareness that if I'm not connecting with the right people, I'm on the wrong path. But no matter what, I will survive and keep pushing through. All right, this is James Brent signing off for today's podcast, The Difference Maker, Self-Awareness. Everybody have a good weekend, and enjoy yourselves. Bye.